Hello and welcome to another episode of Lincoln to Local. I'm Rachel Havens and I've got Steve Thompson here with me from our Public Policy Department. And Steve, this week over at the Capitol was kind of jam-packed with the first big committee deadline. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened and what went on?
It's been a very, very busy, very tense week. Lots of action, a lot of long committee meetings, long agendas. Some committees took multiple days to cover what would normally be a couple-hour meeting. They've got backed up, as we mentioned, with the weather and a few things going on. And so we're really glad to finally get to that deadline so we can limit the number of things that we're having to worry about. One of the main ones that we'd focused on a lot this year was a county zoning proposal that we had some success in the first couple of weeks, but we were proud to see that one of those bills that was remaining was not heard, so that becomes dormant for the rest of the year. And so we feel like that now some of the really good work can begin because there's so many, 2,500, 3,000 proposals to start February with. Now that we limit that down to well under 1,000, we can begin to drill down in and make some improvements to a number of those bills, and everybody will be glad to move to the next phase of the process.
Awesome. Well, of all the bills that were filed this year, one of them was a new disaster recovery bill that sounds like is kind of different than in years past. Can you tell our members a little bit about that?
That's right. A lot of our folks will remember the last two sessions we worked very hard on a proposal that was brought to possibly increase property taxes throughout a county-wide basis for hazard mitigation purposes. Well, that's been a very contentious issue amongst our members, and we've had to work very hard and thankful for their participation and their loyalty to our calls to action in the last couple of years when we defeated that proposal. The author of that idea has continued to try to pursue some way to help out the counties that need things to either prepare for a natural disaster or to recover from one. But we're really proud that proposal this year has come out with a different funding mechanism. So I think they finally heard our message about the sensitivity to property taxes, and so they're trying to set up a way for a direct appropriation from the legislature if the funding was available to help them work on those purposes. So we really think that's a testament to the great efforts of our members the last 2 or 3 years to speak up when that dangerous proposal was out there. So we're very excited that possibly that chapter is closed and we can all work together on something that is a little more farmer and rancher friendly.
That's great news. So we saw some oil and gas royalty bills advance through their respective committees this week. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Yes, we've been working, again, for a number of years with the Petroleum Alliance and the Energy Producers Alliance to try to come to an understanding about royalty payments and how it works both for the mineral owners and the oil and gas companies. They would like to see some changes made in the way that works, and we're highly concerned that we don't lose any of our rights or any of the proper procedures as far as the royalty owners are concerned. And there's the bills in both chambers. There's one in the House that advanced on Wednesday of this week that we favor, that would establish a few things that we feel like are very, very royalty owner friendly. And the Senate advanced one on Thursday that was an industry request from the oil and gas producers. And we feel like that there's still a number of landmines out there. We're continuing good faith negotiations, but at times that they can be very tense, and working together, we really still believe that we can come to something that works for each side of that. We feel like that we need to be paid in a timely and accurate fashion, and the oil and gas companies would like to make sure that works for their accounting purposes as smoothly as possible. And we all want to work together on that, but we have some different perspectives of what the proper path forward is. And so I would expect that that's something that's going to be around most of the session, and we'd really love for our members who are involved with royalty payments to communicate with their field reps, with their legislators about their perspective, because that's something that could become quite tense as the year goes on.
Steve, I know one of our primary topics this session has been medical marijuana and just the abundance of legislation that's been proposed about that. Can you tell us kind of what we've seen through these committee deadlines this week, what's advanced, what hasn't?
That's right. It does feel like that. There's an update every week that's appropriate when it comes to the medical marijuana issues. It was the largest topic of bills filed, and it is still probably the largest topic that advanced through committee. This past week, we saw a bill that would move the Medical Marijuana Authority, that has primary regulatory authority, out from underneath the Department of Health and create a standalone agency to better address those issues. It was created originally when it was viewed more as a pharmaceutical type issue, and as the industry has grown and evolved, I think the state would like to look at it as more of an enforcement type of agency and put more focus on some of the problems that we've had in addressing those. That bill we expect to survive quite a while and have a lot of debate as the session progresses. A new issue emerged a little bit this week that would create a system of mandatory reporting for usage of both electricity and water from these facilities so they can better monitor that. We've had a lot of concerns from our members throughout the last year regarding how much of the utilities that they have been using and if it was properly measured. And so we've been very, very attentive to that and trying to put forth a workable solution for everybody involved, but could create a whole new avenue to measure that production and how many resources go into that and whether or not everything is properly licensed and permitted. And as well as one of our priorities regarding transparency of ownership, making sure that there's proper signage so that the neighbors can know who is operating that and what their license number is and how to communicate. If you have a spray issue and you need to work with your neighbor on something this way, maybe be a little more upfront about who is owning the grow operation near you, as well as some bonding requirements. So as we start to see some of the industry draw back now and some folks walk away from some grow facilities, if there are some fairly toxic messes in a few of those that have to be cleaned up, creating an investment of a bonding procedure that the state could use to possibly address some of those. So there's a mountain of those issues still out there, and we're very closely engaged with that, as well as our other Ag Task Force members. And we know that every week, I think this year, you can probably tune in and find out a little bit something new about that's going on with medical marijuana.
Well, thanks, Steve, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Lincoln to Local.